All right, the family is all here.
Come on, doggies. Come on.
Mom. Mom.
You got a camcorder?
Oh, she's outside.
Because that's
Mom, look, I got the camcorder.
two rules that
Alright.
make
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Our Abel trip is starting.
Because we got a little couple things
We got the van.
That doesn't have this. Where's Paul? I don't know if he's sitting there. I don't know what the story is.
Airport check-in.
You made a sick video.
Yeah, this is going to be a sick video, right, Greg? What do you have to say?
I am psyched for the big trip, Jake. You can fall.
We're on the plane, guys.
No, thank you. Yeah, look at it. Now I can fall.
We've arrived in Poland. We're here, everyone.
You didn't miss anything. It was basically on my backpack.
Getting our passport.
You could make photos.
Oh,
Hey, what do you got?
I've got an old school camcorder.
Sick.
Pretty sweet. Here, get me.
This thing's cool. Is it recording right now?
Yeah, it's recording. We're at the hotel. We've got the Eric Abel's over here, the Greg Abel's over there. There's Ken, Mom. Jordan's on his way. Sorry.
Where? Where? I don't see it.
Look.
Well, can you put one out?
Yeah, go back. I mean, look.
This is called the big ghetto, the bigger part, and this small part is called small ghetto. And the borders of the ghetto changed during the years, okay, during the war, because Germans tried to adapt the borders for their reasons. And you have to try to imagine the situation. We have the houses, the ghetto on the right side. On the right side, already the new apartments, as this district is really very popular and on the top right now. Okay, it is said, unfortunately, not in English, but you can read what is written in Polish. Yeah, and what is the meaning? About Jewish uprising at all. Okay, we didn't know anything. Okay, there was a street like Anielewicza, there was a street like this, but apart of this, nothing. Okay, so we know the people right now. We have the wonderful archive of Ringelblum. You know what is this? During the war, as it is today. A part of this that nowadays we have trams, and before they used trains. Okay, as I mentioned before, according to the artist, this place, this is the installation that can symbolize wagon. So we are adjusting the wagon, like really lots of people. A wagon for animals, actually, they were used, to put more people inside. Yeah, but for another version of the artist, this is just a railway station. So it's according to you. What do you see? This is written here that 300 Jews were taken from here to Treblinka. I say 300 Jews because some of them already died in the ghettos, right? That's why we have lower number. Yeah, some of them, you understand, we had 4,100 in the ghettos. Some of them died. Some of them were added here from the smaller ghetto around Warsaw, like from Otwock, for example. Yeah.
So the other two weeks had to be bought with the money he made out of the ring. So there were parallel economies. There was the communist economy, and they knew it, but they closed their eyes because that's what kept people alive.
But because actually,
And
yes.
Listen up, fam.
The name of the square is Plac Krasinski. Okay, this is related to so many stories because, first of all, one of the most original buildings is this previously National Library. Okay, nowadays you have a palace to visit, beautiful, of Poland, with everything, books, architecture, etc. So very old building. This church, as you see, Catholic Church with the symbol. This is also a army church. It was the Orthodox Church. So under the domination of Russians, you know that Poland is actually.
But my point is
Freedom is really possible.
Let's watch it and see. Jen, where's the...
Just trying to be light
Jen,
of a heavy
let's watch it.
situation. I mean, I also found it was
Let's
like,
decide if we think he was
it
serious.
was a bonding experience for the group. I feel like his initial, like, he was just taking photos with you, and it's like,
they were just doing the same poses.
yeah.
We're also shocked.
He's better than Max, actually. He's a 10th grader.
Jack. Yeah, Jack Rogers. I know Jack. Why are you talking about the Rogers? That's my boy. I go.
Dinner together or split up to make it easy?
She's checking to see if they can take us at this place.
Look how cute this is.
Hey, can we get a table? How many?
Everyone's talking.
All right, Ethan.
You want to split the potato?
Sure.
Potato?
My favorite thing that I saw today. I'm not even gonna. My favorite thing I saw today was the uncovered basement and the former bunker that the survivors were staying in. That was mine.
Can I slightly change it to favorite versus meaningful?
I was gonna say, it's kind of weird to have a favorite event. All we did was
Hey, look, King Kong!
Już nie palę. Pomagamy trochę?
Woo!
Odrobinę żonglerki.
Oh!
Tak, coś trudniejszego? Wow! A, jeszcze trudniej. Odrobinę szybciej. Raz.
Oh, yeah, ooh,
The Polish tram. Your gave this one?
no, we have 2 stops.
Pizza Hut.
Really?
I love seeing chains that are here.
Me too, I think it's so funny. Always a hard one.
The same purpose here.
Yes.
Yeah, and other people that.
Historical topic, and the topic of this exhibition is first 5 years of Jewish life after the Holocaust, meaning how people recovered or tried to recover, and they were not allowed to recover after the Holocaust. And it's a general history concerning more than 300,000 people. So we tell the general story, but we also selected 16 kind of protagonists that through their individual fate we also show the story. One of them is your mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, Frida Bergman. Of course, we can show these individual stories very briefly, very shortly. What I will do, telling about the whole story, I will kind of turn on the time if it's connected to your family history, and you will see how much the family history actually illustrates and why we choose Frida and Rita and Alan, because this very much reflects the fate of the majority of the Polish Jews. You may expect it's not easy history, it actually be very painful story. And what we'll do, because the exhibition is extremely dense, and to really see it thoroughly, it takes 3-4 hours. We will not do this, don't you worry. What I will do is I will guide you to the main story in approximately hour and a half. Then we may sit and to talk, we will have probably many questions. And then I invite you to go over them individually, because you will know the story, then you can really see the movies, the artifacts, because it's very dense. A lot of documentary movies, a lot of photo, a lot of personal testimonies. And as I said, it's not easy. Even for me, I worked on this exhibition for 3 years, I guided many people, and there are some stories that really today I cannot, I'm not, let's say, kind of patient, and I cannot speak it without some pain, because it's not a story. So if you're ready, let's start.
Could you maybe...
So very briefly, I was born and grew up in Dzierżoniów, the place that Rita, Frida and Alan were for a short time when they came from the Soviet Union. And I was a student of PhD in history, but I wrote my first book about other topic. Actually about the topic of the youth of your mother, that is about the Jewish youth in interwar Poland, the conditions of their growing up. But it was the time when the museum was built. And there is a permanent exhibition of 1,000 of the history of Polish Jews, and they have a small part at the end of the poster. And of course, the town that I'm from was very special, and I will tell you this story, was very special, unique town in all post-Holocaust Europe. And because people from the museum knew that I am from the town, they asked me to do some archival research for the permanent exhibition. When I was doing the research, I noticed how big the topic is. It would be the topic of my second book. So when I was working on the second book that I only now finished to write it, I was contacted by one of the protagonists of my story, Shlomo Pączak, the friend of the family, and through him I visited him next to the Baltimore, and then he contacted me with these wonderful people, and I spent with Frida 14 hours. So it's a very long interview, and kind of, that's a good way. Thank you for this question actually, because that's the way of saying thank you. Because it will be other book, if not Frida. I did 50 interviews all over the world. There was no better, more meaningful, and more intelligent interview and a story that was told by Frida. And, so you will see her kind of her soul, her part in all this, and then very known Polish writer at the museum 3 years ago turned to me to be one of 2 main historians who prepared the exhibition, and I told them, listen, the Bergman story should be, because that's the story. Our strongest things are the artifacts. That is the ruins of the Warsaw Ghetto. That is where we are now. That's the part of Warsaw that we are now in the museum. It shows how much it was destroyed, especially after Warsaw Ghetto and then Warsaw Uprising. We show also the material remnants of the Jewish civilization, the Matzevot, the Jewish gravestones, destroyed, and already it was German policy during the war that when the Jewish cemetery is destroyed, the tombstones were used to pave the roads. People who survivors do, they look for anyone who they knew before the war, if he or she is alive, some family members, some friends. And that's not only a Polish process, it's a transnational global process, meaning that after the Holocaust, the probability that someone has someone alive is that this person alive is most often not in Poland but somewhere abroad. There are some cousins, some friends, some family members who had the luck to emigrate before the war, or they were in Soviet Union. So the search of Polish Jews for anyone that they know is global. It's not concerned to Poland, and that's, I think, one of the strongest one sentence that I found in one of the radio forecasts of Polish radio that Jews were, broadcasting that they're looking for someone. That's Szymon Masza, age 20, from Płońsk, very small town next to Warsaw, sends greetings to Szymon Chaim and David Ben-Gurion from Tel Aviv. What does it say? That there was one family member, Szymon Chaim, that she knew that he's alive in Tel Aviv, and the only other person famous that she knew from her own town, because Ben-Gurion was also from Płońsk originally. So but that's kind of the scope of the catastrophe. That's the 2 people that she knows, that she thinks that she can turn to. One, some family member, another, David Ben-Gurion, who visited Płońsk in the 1930s before the war. So she thought that maybe if he will hear that she's from Płońsk, he will help her. That's the scope of the catastrophe. Here again, the same.
Oh yeah.
We all know that picture. That picture
Yeah.
That
has been
picture is in my
in
house.
our, where was that, in Mama's forever.
Yeah, well, it's in my
No,
house.
your house.
No, I have to take a picture here.
For something for this part of the story, but I will go back to your family story a few times because your family story is connected to almost all of the things, but then, you know, on the exhibition you could show only the part, but then we gave the quotation because then again we wanted to show the enmity, how the society reacted for the return. And that's a very moving and very strong quotation from Mom's interview, how she's greeted first time in the Polish land. When she's, yeah, it's even before. It's just when they come to the Soviet Union, go to the Lower Silesia. It's the first time she goes out from the train and wanted to buy milk for you, and then wanted to buy milk for the children on the platform, and then she heard someone standing on the platform. They're exporting coal and bringing in Jews. I asked, Frida says, why are they shooting at us? He said, are you surprised? We don't need Jews, we need coal. So, yeah, so that's why we decided to use this. This is a very strong quotation. And this is also very important because this represents the majority of the Polish Jews. So only in the first half of 1946, 140,000 of the Polish Jews came back from the Soviet Union, and they were the main survivor community. Altogether, more than 200,000 Polish Jews came back. So if anyone, and there was a moment that the still many people, non-communists also, thought that the future of Polish Jewish life is possible. And this thinking about the future was possible thanks to the people who, like your family, who came back from the Soviet Union, because they were the only people who came with the families. Because I will tell the story, like, from these who survived in Poland and the camp, there was no old people and almost no children. There were, singular young people. They married, they had kids, but there were no almost community in terms of different ages. Now the community came back from the Soviet Union because, like your family, and that's why we selected your family, it was a family who come back. Families usually, in their totality, did not survive the Holocaust. Of course, all of your family who stayed in Wochy back were killed. But then the family, meaning parents and two kids, returned. It did not happen, basically, with the... Germany, and now it was taken over by Poland. The main reason why explains why most of the half Polish Jews were before the war living here, or even there, in the part of Poland that was taken over by Soviet Union, but most of them were moved here. The main explanations are the dots. What are the dots? They're the places of anti-Jewish violence taking place in Poland after the Holocaust. And you can see the paradox that most of the violence were in the places where the Jews lived before the war, from the reasons that I explained before. And from these territories, from this part, Germans were deported. So Polish state needed Polish citizens to take over factories, houses, to re-establish Poland. And who are the most interested group of Polish citizens to do that? Of course, Jews, because they did not where to go back, or when they went back, they were treated with violence, including your mom when she went to Wochy. She was told by the neighbor, listen, don't try to do anything to reclaim the house, just, go back. And that was the experience of most of the people, so that's why they were sent to Lower Silesia. And here we show the cases, the places where the violence took place. We had also methodological discussion, because each dot is a one town or village. And we have there is 430 something dots here, but of course in some places there were 10 cases, or 8 or 12 cases of violence. We thought about making the dots bigger or smaller, but we decided not, because it's dense enough and strong enough that they emerge. So and British closed the borders. America was not letting any immigrants from Eastern Europe up to the 1950-51, including Holocaust survivors. The only one who were let, but the rich families in the US and who can provide affidavit that is guaranteed that they will give upkeep for 2 years for these people. So most of the Holocaust survivors could not go. So immigration from Poland actually meant that you were smuggled illegally through the border by the Zionist movement and moved to Germany, where in Germany there were these camps for the refugees, also run by the Zionist organization. So actually, to live was to go to the place, to the country that its state perpetrated the Holocaust, and to be in a refugee camp for a few years. So it was not. That was the tragedy of the situation, that even Jewish non-communist parties who understood that it's fake, and they were not communists, but they all called the Jewish population to vote for this referendum because they were so much dependent on the regime, because their possibility of activity in Poland was dependent on a regime, so there was a kind of a cooperation. We use the words of the Holocaust. They said deportation. So for example, there is a list of deportations to Auschwitz. They never use the word we are killing. We are deporting. And these people vanish. So how we know what the people felt? What was the experience of the Jewish people during the ghetto? What was the resistance? What was the resistance of the civilians, of mothers, I don't know, try to get milk for their kids, medicine. We know it from the diaries that people wrote in the ghettos, but all these things were destroyed, and most of these things, like the documents of the experience of the Jews who experienced the Holocaust, was saved in Vilnius by a group of Avram Sutzkever, and in Warsaw by the group headed by Emanuel Ringelblum, that I will tell you about. That is why the work of Sutzkever is so much important. And again, if you go now to New York, to the Ivo archives, the most important artifacts from the Jewish life before the war and from the Holocaust, which are in New York, are the things that were saved by few young people in Vilna ghetto during the Holocaust.
How were they able to survive during the
So the Sutzkever was a part of a partisan group, and they left when already they were last Jews killed in the ghetto. They had connections also to Red Army Soviet partisans. They smuggled themselves out from the ghetto and joined partisans, but most of them, their family members were dead. Sutzkever's daughter was killed. And his wife also, his wife survived. I'm not sure. It was, I don't know, I'm not sure about the wife, I'm sorry. His daughter was killed in a deportation. So many of these were these young people without the families, who lost already families. Most of the people were killed, and that's how because guaranteed that you can survive. It was if you wanted to survive on so-called Aryan papers, passing as a Christian outside, not in hiding on the forest, on some underground ditch, where you are totally dependent on the people who shelter you and who risk their lives. So many of these people, even if they sheltered Jews, when they felt danger, they kind of gave them out. So the only way to survive without this was having the forged papers with Christian identity, but then you had to speak flawless Polish. If you had a Yiddish accent or even a Jewish looks, you were suspected and hence killed. So that's why it was so important to know the Polish to speak without an accent. Your mom knew, but your father no.
Right.
If they were in Poland, he would never survive.
That's why you could never say a sentence without being corrected.
Yeah, that's again, but that's the.
So if I do that to you, you know why.
When before your family comes from Soviet Union, I told you at the beginning that there are almost no children and old people. The estimation was in the first months after the war that there are around maybe 500 Jewish children all over Poland that survived. And most of them are in Christian families or kept by the Catholic nuns. The people who are for money or for free, just taken, or some people just took some child from the street. These are the children, and it's a very tragic story. Because first of all, that's the story of children who are like devoid of the identity, who grew up in a totally different conditions, and who are tried to be reclaimed by the Jewish community. And it's a whole tragic story because, and there are different attitudes. Orthodox and Zionists, they're very radical. They bribe these Christian families, they take sometimes children by force. They say that we owe to the families, to their parents, to the Jewish nation, to reclaim the children. Now the communists are more hesitant, but there is a big community kind of activity of taking children back, and also it's after the war war does not diminish the xenophobia and nationalism, but strengthens it. So also the Jewish nationalism is much stronger. It's kind of very radical, you know. And so we need to fight for the future of the Jewish nation, and our children are the future. So we need to kind of reclaim and take over the children. And we here speak about the different cases of children taken by force. Of sometimes you take a child, and the child hates the Jews, and he says, "I don't want to go. They murder Christ. What do you want from me?" And then that's the part of the story. We also tell about the children's homes. All Zionists established their own children's homes, communists their own, Orthodox their own, because everyone wants to re-educate these kids according to its own ideology, and that's another tragic part of the story. Gave the minority the rights that they did not have before the war. So that was the way also the Polish regime was building its PR. And also Jewish minority was very useful because it brought help from Western, mainly from American Jews from the West. And this help brought thousands and hundred thousands and millions of dollars to Poland, which was very important for a poor state which is dominated by the communists. So in these conditions, these 100,000 people who stayed even after the Kielce pogrom, they rebuilt, and it's not a known story, that they were able to recreate almost all of their social and cultural life. Much smaller because they're 100,000 out of 3 million, but in terms of institutional life and pluralism and its richness, it's kind of recreated. Basically, what was before the Holocaust is recreated after the war. And here we show this story. The different institutions of the Jewish life and which kind of field of the life, like is it education, social welfare, work, health, that they covered, and you can see how much it was covered. Now, it is important to say that 80% of the budget of these institutions was sponsored by the Joint, American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, 20% by the Polish government. But then also they...
the 80-20 formula.
Yeah.
Now the 80-20 formula.
Yeah. And but again, also they were so good in rebuilding their lives that the actually community started to earn money for itself. Part of this story is the cooperative Night of May that your parents established. It was one of the most successful, not only Jewish, but in general cooperatives in Poland. And half year after its creation, they were making a gain. And part of this gain came to the Jewish community and supported the children's home, healthcare, etc. And that's a part of the story, the spectacular recovery of these people so destroyed emotionally and psychologically by the Holocaust that they not only re-established their individual lives, but they built a community that is more and more able to sustain itself. And that's the part of the story. And this story of rebuild we tell through the two main, most interesting centers. One is Łódź, which is the city in central Poland that had the biggest Jewish community after the Holocaust. In its peak, it was 30,000 Jews living in Łódź after the Holocaust. And Łódź, we chose Łódź, one, because it's the biggest amount of Jews, and second, that's the place that, to the biggest extent, the pre-war city civilization of the Polish Jews was recreated after the Holocaust. Because that's the phenomenon that until the Holocaust, Poland is has almost 3.5 million Jews, which is the biggest Jewish center in Europe, and the second biggest Jewish community in the world, after America. But if you look at the origins of the new the biggest centers of Jewish life, America mostly is created by the Jews from East Central Europe, from the former Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. So most of the American Jews are of a Polish Jewish descent. Russian Jews are also mostly from the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and they just migrated fully in the east. So Poland was the cradle of, and then if you look at the land of Israel and Ashkenazi Jews, mostly also they come from the same territories. So kind of Poland was a cradle of the world Jewish civilization, and now everything was destroyed. So we chose Łódź because in Łódź, and this cradle of Jewish civilization before the war had the elements of this kind of modern city Jewish civilization. It was, as I said at the beginning, it was a place special not only in Poland but in the whole landscape of post-Holocaust Europe. Imagine that in Europe after the Holocaust, we speak about July 46, the moment when the Kielce pogrom happens. We have a town it has 20,000 inhabitants. Half of them, 10,000, are Polish Jews. And that's the moment when you come in. That's you build this kind of a big number. All these trains who come from the Soviet Union.
10,004.
So half of the population is yes, half of the population is Jewish. Imagine a town like this after the Holocaust. Nobody can kind of imagine this. How this happened? Not that someone planned it by the accident. This story of the Jewish story of this town, Polish Jewish story of this town, starts during the Holocaust. So in a town there is a concentration camp. And when the war is over, Soviets freed these members of the concentration camps all around Riga, but mainly in Dzierżoniów. There are 10,000 Polish Jews. Jews who are citizens of Poland from before the war, and some of them have nowhere to go. Because when they go home, they experience what I told you at the beginning. So they said, let's stay here because Germans are deported, there are houses to be taken, factories to be taken over, let's stay here. Polish government notices it, says, okay, let them stay, and then we need to send all these, including Pertmans, all these Jews from Soviet Union. So let's send them to this place because we will have less trouble with them than in central Poland. So this is the historical coincidence why the town becomes such a center. And then Zionists pick it also as important because it's close to the Czech border. So if you want to smuggle Jews out of Poland, you can do it through the border easily. And the same is the reason for the Orthodox. So, but because there is such a big success in the reconstruction of the Jewish community, after the Kielce pogrom, most of the Jews from the small towns in central Poland flee, but from Dzierżoniów only minority lives. So your mother tells me, with interview with me, that they were also your parents considering to go with Zionists, but your mother got a fever, decided not to go.
Well, they tried to go anyway.
Yeah, then to Paraguay, etc. Yes.
And then when they actually got papers that she would go, she got sick.
Yes. Yeah, but she told me also that the there's illegal Zionist kind of immigration activists approached her. Yeah. But also imagine.
I'm not going to smuggle anything.
Yeah, but also imagine you just came out from the train with the small kids. That's the decision, leave or to go. You survive in Siberia, in Kazakhstan, like your parents. You come with, you were what, 3, not less than 3, 2.5. Alan was 41.5. Take these small kids and be smuggled through the border through half of Europe to go to the refugee camp. So, and because the facilities and there is a success of this reconstruction of the community, most of these people don't live after Kielce pogrom. So even after a big wave of Jewish escape out of Poland, in Dzierżoniów, from 10,000, there is still 7,000 strong Jewish community, and a few towns around the same. So they're like 35% of the whole of the town population, which experience of life is much safer and very different than in Central Europe. And also, that's a paradox, another irony. It was Germany before the war. But it's psychologically easier for you because it's not a place where you have the graves. This is not the place where your parents were killed. So I imagine that for mom it was easier to be in this Dzierżoniów post-German town than be in Bochum, which everything would remind her about the...
I don't think they have a choice.
Yeah, of course, but even because many people say it in the interview, for me it was easier to be in this kind of space that I arranged for and knew than to be in a place that is a cemetery of my family. And that's the reason why out of 100,000 of Polish Jews who are after the Kielce pogrom in Poland, 60,000 of them is in Lower Silesia. Dzierżoniów, Wrocław, in these former German territories. And in this part we show that they, as in which they managed to recreate the elements of the European Jewish civilization, just a sec. In this small town, they managed to recreate the elements of the civilization of the shtetl, that is the small Jewish town, that again your parents are from Bochum, yes.
So where
Another story. So I told you at the beginning that the Jews could go to the state factories and to work for the government, which was before the war not possible, and also that in the first years after the war it was communist dominated by the government, but the economy was not fully socialist. So government did this trick that they allowed part of capitalist economy and part of the socialist. So, for example, you could have a small shop, you could have a small workshop privately, but you were suspicious because communist tax authorities, the husband of the cousin Bronka, one of the family friends, all they were like communists who were very how to say, suspectful to the private capitalist activity. So the most wisest and safest and kosher thing to do was to establish a cooperative. So you did a cooperative which was okay for the communists because people working together, but under the guise of the cooperative, you can actually do the hidden black market capitalist activity. Jakub Pączek, friend of the family, and Chaim and Frida Pertman took part in this. There is also, it's not on exhibition, but I write it in my book, that there is also amazing gender aspect of this story. That usually in these cooperatives, men were doing the work and women were housekeepers. But wise women like Frida, they were the masterminds. So you don't have them in the documents, but they're the masterminds of the operations. So bookkeeping in a cooperative, Frida does. Who goes to some office to talk to the officials? Frida, because her Polish is the best, and she speaks like literary pure Polish. And even, what for me is a very strong proof? You send me this, Alan sent me a few of the family photos, and there is one photo from the night of my cooperative. So, and Frida is in the middle like a queen. There are all these bosses, she's in the middle with a back like this, and she's not in any of the document, officially, but you can see in the photo who is important there. And that's exactly the story. Why it is also important, we tell it through another cooperative, I will tell you in a second, but the same story is through ninth of my cooperative, that your family was re-established. That cooperatives are one of the strongest proofs of the continuation of some elements of the pre-Holocaust life in a post-Holocaust Poland. Because they were not people by coincidence. Like the night of my cooperative, the same as the other, was established on the basis of people who knew each other from before the war. Polchak, who established the cooperative, was also from Bohun Podlaski and worked with your father in a workshop in Warsaw. And all of the people who had established cooperatives, they were young tailors who knew each other from the workshop from before the war. And they kind of recreate, in the guise of the cooperative, pretty much the same thing that they were doing before the war, which is amazing. Even the stronger example is the brush-making cooperative of Międzyrzec Podlaski. Why it is so important? Międzyrzec, or Mezirich in Yiddish, it was the next to Wochy, not far away. Mezirich, yeah. It depends how you Mezirich.
We were able to live the way we did because of the black market and not because of the salary.
Yeah. And all the cooperatives work in the same logic. So that's why it's a universal story. It's not only your family story, but it shows some bigger phenomenon how the economy works and people try to find their way in a post-Holocaust, early communist economy. You can see how dense it is.
Can we go to Kościel now when we're in Georgia?
Yeah.
Because I have a memory of one scene.
There is also memory of you like standing next to the tree. Frida tells with cash. I don't know the tree that has this brown stuff. No, never mind. We will go. Definitely, we will.
Which number here is where they used to live?
No, it's not, because this is a mark of the Jewish institutions. They lived where my finger is, beginning of the street Kościelna that comes out from the central square. But you can see how many Jewish institutions. Here is the synagogue, and so the thing is that you will be in Jerusalem, you will not notice nothing will be commemorated mark. Yes, so it will be not so spectacular actually story, because they will be in a town. It's a small kind of poor town that you see nothing. But then I noticed I had a problem in this building, not knowing that's living in this place.
What else don't I know here?
Yeah. So that's the story. Again, here, but I want to say about it that imagine that in Poland, after the first start of the Holocaust, there were 70 Jewish newspapers, mostly in Yiddish, but many of them also in Polish, just few in Hebrew because barely someone knew Hebrew, because their activity was, of course, anti-socialist, etc. So here we tell the story of the Jewish communists, which is again not maybe ironic, but story which is not fully black and not fully white. It has a very many dimensions. Because first of all, there are two groups of communists, and the exhibition is made mainly for the Polish public, and Polish public usually knows something, knows only about the first one. So there is a group of Jewish communists who are known in Poland mostly, the ones who are communists of Jewish origin, but they escape from their Jewishness to communism. So communism is their way to become Pole or to become international, to escape the Jewish stigma. And they become some of the members of the Polish government. They have become these famous, Judeo-communists in total imagination. And we tell their story. But actually the majority of the Jews who were communists, they had a very strong Jewish identity after the war. And they were like a Polczak, living on so-called Jewish street. And again, that's a very complicated story. From one side, they were, as a faithful communists, they were attacking and Zionist Orthodox, fighting to thwart any non-communist element of the Jewish life. But there is also another part of the story. They were the only ones who had this fanatical faith of doing something here in Poland, not emigrating, because who else could fanatically believe that after all this Holocaust you can do what we do. So paradoxically, a lot of the things that I showed you in Łódź and Jezioro, it's thanks to their resolve. So it's another bigger opportunity for children, better education, etc. But second, some of the people from the cooperative moved to another cooperative, Zgoda, in Wrocław, where they joined, and it gave again bigger economic opportunities. Also, they were active in the black market also in Wrocław. We've selling through against Alan, and stuff. So it gave a bigger opportunity, and that's another part of the story. And this irony I tell you that this communist regime gives, even if you don't like it or you hate it like your parents, gives some things, opportunities to your children that you never had. There is one thing that I write about your grandmother in my book also, again, important part of the gender history. That your mother tells she could be a professor of physics if she was born in another, really, and that's my opinion, if she was born in another place, she would have opportunity. So she tells this story when they're already still in Jezioro, 46, 47. She sees some other young women like herself, having small kids, that they're talented and they're offered to study, to do kind of, that you, in evenings, you take evening classes. You take evening classes, evening school, high school, you do the high school diploma, and then you can go to the university. And Frida was offered to do this. And she tells, I had a friend who did it, and I saw her children running alone until very late evening, and she says in the interview something like this. I looked at my kids, and I saw kind of my mother and grandmother in heaven, that they would not forgive me, not taking care of my kids. So then, and I kind of did not do it, but she understood that the opportunity for the education, you and Alan was older, that you had free state school, high school, and university for free. It was something that was unthinkable for the Jewish kids from the poor shtetl tailor families, like herself. So your parents had only the formerly basic Polish primary education. And now, Alan, if he would stay in Poland, he was already in high school, he would study university. Son of Shmuel Shlomo Jakub Ponczak studied in university, and he would also study in Moscow, and you would also study. And that's the paradox. That's the paradox, and that's again the paradox of the experience of the majority. That okay, we don't like many things about the government, but the possibilities of the government that this new regime gives to the children from the people of the lower classes. They are not the possibilities that were before the war. And actually, that's the thing that joins experience most of the Jews and most of the Poles. Because also if you see the rise in education, the access to the healthcare, but also especially to the high school and university education, people from lower classes, that happens in Poland after the 1945.
The human being and not a Jew. And a Jew was not just a name, identification.
It was a slur, yeah.
And no, it was a lower being.
Yeah.
And it was a lower being because that was the propaganda of Hitler that created people who were able to kill other people because they weren't killing other people. They're killing people that were lower than they are, or they weren't really people, and they were shown as monsters or all those caricatures. So if that is the image of your identity, that's why you don't want it exposed ever. So it doesn't blow me away. It is the tragedy of the situation, and it is like cutting off your nose to spite your face, because after all that, underlying everything you have said is the 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 the, the, uh, the germ, the germination of everything started with the tree. Whether it was the cooperative, whether it was, you mask it in communism, you mask it any way you want. But at the bottom of it, what really worked is the Jewish way.
That is also the reason why family Finkelstein, you can see it on the map. And again, that reminds us that in 46, 47, nobody knew what is the better answer, because if you look from the standpoint of view of last 70 years history, you say, these people who wanted to emigrate, to live in future in Israel, they were the wise people, they were the... And here, that's the story of Finkelstein. Finkelsteins were from small shtetl Radziwiłł next to Białystok, northeastern part of Poland.
I'm not saying my son to war.
So
He was going to be,
Yeah.
because we could have stayed if it wasn't.
Yeah. So that's again the part of the story, and I think it shows how much your family story is
And
impacted.
he wanted to be in the military, I think. He
It's,
spent his whole career.
I don't think because he wanted to be in the military. That's
Well, he
a
was-
different factor of it. So he was in art school, which is, I think, part learning a trade and part education kind of thing. And he could go to school. I couldn't go to school in Israel. And he was 17 when we came. He was 17 and a half when we left Israel. So he was just about to draft.
Yeah.
So it was in the summer before. It was in the summer of 1958.
Right, because he came in 57 and then 58.
58, we left in December 58. In the summer 58, I signed up to go to night school. And because I couldn't go to day school. And then a month later, I was told that we're going to leave again to go to the United States. He says, because Alan's going to be drafted, and she wrote the Greenblatts, and they got him a visa because they got him a job.
Yeah, so they got affidavit, that's the way, because they had to vouch for you that,
Right. Well, they didn't vouch for me. He went to one of the sewing factories in Baltimore, and because there were
that they need the tailor, yes.
They need the tailor, and he has a guaranteed job, so we didn't have anything of their own on the line, because we already had the job, so we could support ourselves and didn't need their.
But
Didn't need
still,
the government.
it was 1957, 58
It was 58.
that was this possible, because up to 1950, even on these premises, you could not go. That's the thing, that the
That's right.
mass
That's
Jewish
exactly-
immigration was possible only after
The only
1950.
really, it was after the Hungarian Revolution in October '56.
That might
That's
be-
when it ordered, and only the Jews can leave.
Yeah.
That's why when the Russian Jews came to Poland, because only from Poland you could go, and only to Israel you could go.
Yeah. So they went through Israel.
So they went to Israel, but the Sinai War was 1956.
Yes.
So when we got there in '57, and Alan was 17 in '58, and he was going to be drafted in the next few months, that's why he says, no more wars.
That's actually perfect, because it brings us to last part of the story, the story of Hoffman. This boy, Roald Hoffman, a few years later becomes a Nobel Prize winner from chemistry. He lives until he works in University of California until today. Very famous Nobel Prize winner, American guy. But the story is most amazing. They're called Saffron before the war, and this young couple, Clara, father, forgot his name, Hillel, yes, and the boy Roald. He has a very strange name, Roald, because that's the Norwegian actually name, totally not Jewish. Why he was given this name? Because there was a Roald Amundsen, the Norwegian explorer of the North Pole, and she was so progressivist that they gave their boy's name Roald. And they were called Saffron. Father was killed during the Holocaust, and she with a child, they escaped to Germany with the Zionist movement. Now, how they get to America so early, in the 1940s, they take papers of some German guy who died, whose name was Hoffman. And as Germans, because they passed to America, because that's another very sad paradox, irony of United States, that in 40s they had these immigration quotas. And the quotas for people from Central and Western Europe, which are better educated, better people from the point of the government, the quotas are much bigger, the number of people who can emigrate, than from the people from Eastern Europe. Now, and Jews, Polish Jews are Eastern Europeans, so there is no quota for them. So they can go to US because they take the name of the German guy who dies, and as the Germans, being Holocaust survivors, the Germans immigrate to US. Now the paradox is that they could go back to their original surname, more resembling Soviet Union. Stalin orders to make all these satellite countries similar to Soviet Union, so to establish their full communist dictatorship. If there is a full communist dictatorship, there is no place for non-communist organizations, especially for the Jewish ones, who are whole supported from the West. Now Jews as whole become suspect, not paradoxically, not because of the old anti-Semitism, but they are now suspects because they are the not good communists. No, they are the only group that has so strong connections to the West, because everyone has a family member in the West, tries to emigrate. All this Jewish community was sponsored by the American money. So now the table turns, and the Jews as a group, even Jewish communists who were doing this cooperation, now they are under suspicion. Maybe also there is one of the reasons why people from the small towns sometimes move to Wrocław, like your family. I don't know if it's part of your story. Some of them say in the interview, I wanted to live in a big city because it was better to hide my connections and start a life anew during the studies. And this process starts in 1948. Again, it's very much connected to Lower Silesia, to the part to the Wrocław, to the city that I will guide you through in a few days from now. So in 48, Polish government is doing a big exhibition of New Poland, of these territories gained from the Germans, and Jews, because they give so much to the building Polish life, they're given the special part of the exhibition for a Jewish pavilion, for a Jewish show. Week before that, independently 50,000 goes from Poland. That's the biggest wave after Kielce pogrom, from July 46 until the end of 1947. 124,000, that's the biggest immigration wave. Then after the legal immigration, mainly to France, to other Western countries, 20,400. Then after the State of Israel is established, there is between 49 and 51, there is an agreement of Polish government with Israel, that 28,000 of the Jews are allowed to leave. You could also go, but your parents, I don't know why, did not decide to go. And then the biggest, after Kielce pogrom, the biggest wave of immigration out of Poland, so-called Gomunkalia, that is where your parent left to Israel in 57. 57 was the peak. Most of these 50,000 immigrated in 1957 as your family. And that's also very important immigration, because most of the Jews who had the Jewish identity, who had the Jewish names and surnames, they were not hiding their identity. That's where they live. Almost all of them. The dominant group who stays are all communists or people who have this Polish identity. And they're prosecuted in 1968 with a very famous anti-Zionist campaign. And then they leave, most of them, and almost, Jewish life in Poland is Sweden, Denmark, yes, many, but some of them also to Israel. But that ends almost totally Polish Jewish life, and the exhibition is the provocation. It's a provocative question that David Engel, friend of mine and mentor, this one who lives in Philadelphia, he said it during our discussion about the exhibition. And all Polish Jews who survived the Holocaust, and all those who returned to the country, like your family, immediately after the war, not left soon afterwards, by 1950 the Jewish community in Poland would have amounted to nearly 400,000. It would have been the second largest Jewish community in Europe, after the Soviet Union, and one of the largest communities of the Jewish diaspora globally. It's a provocative question, but it gives you something to think about. That not everything was done by the Holocaust, but the things also happened after the war, and that's why with this ambivalence we wanted our visitors to leave the exhibition. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we can have a seat, we can have a talk.
Americano here is the same thing as an Americano at home. Americano at home is a water. Yes, Americano is Americano everywhere, because an Americano was invented.
picture of you taking a picture of me.
Do you remember taking that picture?
That would be quite impressive.
No, but I remember the picture.
Well, that one was up on their wall, right inside the front door.
of the house.
Yeah, when you walk.
I thought we have to be in Krakow at 4 o'clock. Isn't it 4 hours away? But isn't it 2 hours to Wayne?
No, it's about 3 hours from Boyne. 2.5 hours from Boyne. From here?
I
About
looked
an
on
hour
my
and a half.
phone and it said Wayne to Krakow is 4 hours, and here to Wayne is 2 hours.
I don't think it's quite that far. But I mean,
Okay.
leave at 8 and we get.
Alright, let's let Mama. Okay, you want me to? No, I can't. No, we should. Oh, I thought I was not meant Lindsay or
Let's go with that surface. It's much easier.
Alright, sure.
Who's ready to leave in 2 minutes?
They're gonna tell us to leave.
Pretty boys.
Wait, I'm not talking about the picture. I haven't seen it. I saw it.
What were you talking about? Love Island? You're right, Nick. It kind of looks like Nick, but if Nick was tan.
Yeah, no, I am. No, I'm not talking about Love Island. You guys are talking about Nick?
From Love Island. Kind of looks like Jeremiah from
I'm
Summer
talking
Night.
about the other show. What's that?
The pronunciation of the town where we're going is Bohin. Bohin.
Okay, everybody on three.
Bohin.
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 Not Bohin, but
Bohin.
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 You can't hear you guys. There's a microphone right next to your mouth.
Oh, like that?
Look at all sounds.
Yes.
Okay.
My father's house had a lot of doors.
Wow.
House had a new roof.
Ooh, doors. We don't have that back in America.
Well, Greg sent you around.
Greg sent around something just now in your phone.
I don't have service because I'm trying to not.
Okay, if I have to go to the bathroom, where should I go?
Here we are in Voheen. Community Board, Town Hall.
So, I call her Susan sometimes. Sometimes I refer to her as Susan, and one time my friend, she's like, "Susan's heavy."
A random animal. Yeah, I mean, what kind of animal is that?
It's a bird.
Okay. Dogs are extremely friendly, bees are extremely friendly, and I'm too extremely friendly.
All right.
So are we.
Sorry, but I have a...
And the rest of the time on perished. We don't know exactly where, and they didn't help us to know whether they went to Majdanek or to Treblinka or Bohemia. Because we have absolutely no records of whoever didn't leave. They simply disappeared. So these are my 3 sons, their wives, and 7 grandchildren, who all went to school. But from your knowledge of this area, tell us about Bohemia and from your knowledge, so we can listen to you and then it will be more
we don't know really so much. We don't know as simple things. They were Hasidim, or they were not. 200 meters from a church, when the people praying in Hebrew and speaking between them in Yiddish. Next to 200 meters and Orthodox church, when people pray in Old Slavonic and speaking between them in I don't know in which way this language describes in English, but it was kind of Polish and kind of Ukrainian. In second village were Germans, were settlers from Germany who were Protestants. In other village from 18th century were Tatars, Polish Tatars who were Muslims. And we have in one city, you can have almost 10 or more languages. We have the gypsies. Yep. Next, 2 languages, because gypsies don't speak only in one language. And it's specifically for this part of Poland. Yep. I'm a Roman Catholic, but in my home you can see Orthodox icons, yes, and parts of Torah. It's a normal state for Poland in this part of country. What about histories about Jews from Wochen? They are absolutely similar like in other shtetls, huh? That in the Friday Jews started a Shabbat and you can smell in absolutely all the city. Oh goodness me, I forgot. Chuland, of course, yeah. With meat or with eggs or with potatoes that were big and I think close connection between 2 parts of society. They lived in the center of the city and a tragedy started. I know that Jews are using a different calendar, but in my think it's some kind symbolical. Do you know what in Jewish religion? I don't know. Are you religious?
5,700 something.
No, I'm. Are you religious Jews?
Yeah, we're.
You know what does it mean? Night day of night month.
Yeah, the ninth day of ninth month.
Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av. It's a most tragical day in Jewish religion, yeah?
No, but okay.
Okay, it was most popular rabbinical Hasidic family in this part of Poland. Most famous of them, Gershon Kleiner, was he invented only according to Torah good account for doing Tzitzela's goodness. Yes. Chustam, szambut i tak dalej.
What you remember Shabbat?
Taki biało-niebieski szambut. A węgle przy nim nazywają się Tzitzela's. Tefillin and Tzitzela's. And according to Torah, you can use only a specific blue color to color them. But Jews, according to Gershon Kleiner, have forgotten which color is only according to Torah. And he found it. And there was a big controversy, theological and practical, between Hasidim. Square in Bochyn. It was named after the 9th of September. And in Bochyn, between war, there were many of little Jewish houses, wooden little Jewish houses in this place, and it all was bombarded in night of September of 39. And in a few hundred meters, you can find in this square, in this part, Roman Catholic Church. 200 meters ago was a synagogue and Beta Midrash. In the other place where now is a school, there was an Orthodox or Greek Catholic church. And
1939 to 1945, and to those who died on the battlefields, in concentration camps, lagers, prisons, forests, at the walls of our homes, and in the Holocaust. We bow to the heroism, sacrifice, and patriotism of all who in Goanna defended Poland.
I think it's monument for this. Yeah.
Alan said it was a liquor store.
But that was in 1989.
Yeah.
Things change.
This was the spot where Poppy's house was. Wow. I'm just taking a video.
Whose is this?
It's 3 generations of Poppy's house.
Wow, yeah.
Wait, where do we want to be?
Right in front of the 24.
Although there's like weird stuff. How about we make it, this is Poppy's house. Let's say this is it.
Symbol, and there's different theories, but no one knows. Some king or someone gave it that symbol, and they don't know what it means.
Alright, let's get the pick. Somebody go get the bus. I think there's a little cafe here we can order.
There's 2 restaurants.
Drinks will get there. I think it's too much trouble.
Yeah, that would definitely be easier.
We got 3 orders of
a mixed bag.
variety.
Depending on which ones are going to meet.
So, different thing from Warsaw. During World War II, the city was occupied, but they didn't destroy anything. So Krakow survived all, like the whole city, the whole town, every district. There was no destruction of any of the buildings here. Yeah, the city lost really everybody from the Jewish community, which was about 70,000 before the war. We're smaller than Warsaw, but still nearly everybody was, killed here. This place right here.
The building.
The buildings.
Not the people, I know.
So we can take a look inside here, inside of the golf cliff, and I'll tell you all about it. About the thing that to open the gates. The outer window was towards the castle. So the king, the queen had to know about it first. But then west, there was an order. There was, you have to go south for the king, west, sorry, for the mayor, north for visitors, for merchants, and east actually for guards. So those like the 4 directions, because those buildings, those people were located in those sides. It's in the right side.
All right.
I'll tell you when, it's pretty dark.
Oh, we won't be able to see them.
Yeah, you should be able to see that. Usually,
Oh,
it's
there.
open right now. And the trumpet's there, on the left side. Barely visible, but it's there. And when the finishes, you gotta wait. 56
It's just like St. Pete
So that's one of the more interesting traditions, I think.
Yeah, that's
Synagogue.
I bet so many people just come up and are like, they're like, look at these fancy doors.
But it's original.
Yeah. Have you been to the restaurant?
No, yes.
Like kings were elected, so like presidents, kings.
We have one of those.
So the nobility. The nobility. Well, yeah. Recent days. But yeah.
Dragon has like 6 arms.
More famous. Usually. Yeah.
There's fire.
Or
Thank you,
little.
Taylor Swift.
I can actually tell you. So if you put this in YouTube, SBRENT, and then I can show you actually a member of the community disaster, for example. He's not alive anymore. He's starting to appear here in Poland. So there was a rabbi, well, maybe in a different way. In 1862 they founded the organization of the Progressive Jews of Krakow, and they actually started gathering money to build a synagogue. It was built here, the name was Temple. Ghetto, and he documented most of what happened in the ghetto. He testified in Nuremberg, he also wrote a book titled The Krakow Ghetto Pharmacy. And that's one of the largest installations in here from Krakow, by Cambridge. It's closed at the moment, they decided to close it, but it was active a few years ago, then it was active for the festival. So last month it was still open, and they closed it right now once again. It was built 500 years ago, it's called the High Synagogue, Heuchschul. And it's
a different one than the one we were talking about.
a different one.
They're just right next to each other.
It's quite unusual. I mean, like this street had 17 synagogues.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm not telling you even about every single one, because there was a synagogue there. There was a synagogue in the next building here. It's every building. Lilian, sorry. I don't know if you heard about him before, but he was an artist from Krakow. He went to a very famous school of art in the city. He was Jewish, and then later on he became a very close friend and ally of Theodor Herzl. He was an artist, and he decided to put it in a funny way, he decided to make a lot of merch for Theodor Herzl. So he was painting Herzl, taking photos of Herzl, everything that you can actually find wherever Herzl is, like, I don't know, the most famous photo. And what else? During the war, like I've told you, most of the synagogues survived, but they were turned into storage spaces by the Nazis. There was one very beautiful synagogue that was burned down, sadly. It was over there, just in the little spot next to the wall. It was a synagogue from the 17th century, and there was a very famous rabbi there, Natan Shpira. He was a Kabbalist. He was one of the people who were taught by the famous rabbi of Lublin, the seer of Lublin. And Natan Shapira, there is a story saying that he spent his whole life studying and reading the Talmud and the Torah. Unfortunately, one day he died over the Talmud. And there is a very cool story actually about that. The legend was saying that in the synagogue before the war, there was a little lamp on the second floor, and that light was actually never off. It was always just turned on magically. The building, like I've told you, was destroyed. Nowadays there is that building here. The owner of the building is from Pakistan. He's Muslim. He has a restaurant there, and then upstairs there is still a lamp. Every single day, if you come here at night, is on. So it's quite funny that he's not Jewish, but he's still keeping the tradition alive.
Here's where we're from.
Yeah, but why did she say that?
Wolochov.
Wow.
Crazy song.
I
know, right?
This is where my great grandmother was born. And yeah,
County map.
It's a county map, Poland.
Whenever, on high holidays, for instance, there are usually 200 people here. And the building doesn't look like that. You can't squeeze in 100 here even. It's usually everybody standing outside. Still. So that's the most important synagogue in Poland, one of the most important in Europe because of the story of the rabbi. And during the war, sadly, they kept shovels, gardening tools. Some of the Jews that were in the ghetto, they were put outside. Krakow was also devastated. But they didn't remove the tombstones, because very often, there are a couple of cemeteries in Krakow that were completely destroyed. And one of those cemeteries that was destroyed is actually just on the other side of the street. I don't know if you spotted that, but there was like this little green area with some trees there in the middle of that street. That was a cemetery. But there are no matzevot there because they were all...
There was like a memorial
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Where
There was the stone there for the 65,000 Krakowian Jews. So that was a cemetery.
Will take more or less 1 hour and 30 minutes, and we passing through a lot of Polish villages, forests and picturesque parks, but we'll see them from afar, so you can have like a quick nap or just wander our picturesque scenery. So once we arrive to the Auschwitz Museum, we'll have a short break to use the bathroom, and then we'll be entering the museum. So I hope that everyone brought their IDs with you, pictures of their IDs, so driving license or any kind of ID where it is written that you are you, and there is a photo of it, of your face. Because there
I bet you could give that to the nurses. I wonder if it's a shop.
Must be there's a truck.
Did Russia slash Germany? I guess. What? And why did they not use the euro?
Find salt in Poland with their help. Without a second thought, the king presented to Kinga an entire salt mine in Hungary. The princess visited the mine on her way to Krakow. She came near the mine shaft and, surprisingly, threw her engagement ring into it. When she arrived to her new country, she requested the miners to look for salt. The result came soon.
Wow, those are salt sculptures. That's crazy. With a shaker.
There's a salt bust of our king, Casimir the Great, owned in the 14th century. And very important here because this is the first knowledge. The salt up there. And during this time, the 14th century, the impact of the mine was 31st century. So the mine was doing a lot of money.
Founded in 1896 and a chamber dating back to 1862. My God, this is nuts. Red cord right there.
You guys should.
Do you want to hear you or J for Jerry?
Okay, let's walk a bit further now. We'll walk about 10 meters down.
What are you talking about, Mom?
Is there anyone who, like, they wouldn't want to be at the bottom of this because they're like, oh, I'm scared of depths? It's like the opposite of being scared of heights. You're scared of, like, having a lot of space above you.
Alright, try to pronounce that, and then Mom will tell you how it's actually pronounced. Go ahead.
This is
Well,
like,
do your best.
I mean, we're like half a mile underground. This is crazy.
Pretty good.
Kierunek Zwidzania. Now, Mom, you say it?
Kierunek zwiedzania.
I know this is crazy. And then, that's me now. Well, they put their miner hat on.
They never blew anything up.
And then your family has to try to rescue you. It's just like one person in a million each year has to become a miner and keep the whole thing going.
One out of... We're still going up. Oh my God, this is so scary. Me and Cole on the Ferris wheel. right, wait, take a selfie.
If you haven't, Google it. It's very easy. You know, if you just write down the Krakow Get Wall 10-minute walk, you still can see one of the sections standing. But it's not just a wall. Look at the top of the wall. Because it's not flat. Why the Germans bothered to make those semicircles? It reminds the shape of the gravestones. It's a clear message of what kind of place is out of business. It's redesigned millions of times. The map is original. So therefore, when you get too close, it gets very noisy. The map is under alarm. During the renovation, they uncovered the map. It was nicely restored. People who worked for Schindler, they remember it. So therefore, we are 90% sure Schindler's office was here. Well, Schindler himself was German. Kind of time of the liquidation. So they were taken to Auschwitz. So this was the end of the Krakow ghetto. And so the camp Flashow was established. Yeah, you can see the picture of the camp over here.
Get all over there.
I remember I was on my...
Are we? Oh, it's all the way at the top. Right?
Yeah, here he comes.
They like poured a bit there. And we went to Hard Rock.
We're gonna see the trumpeter.
Oh, it's ringing.
Wait, what hour?
It's about to be.
Not 8 o'clock.
No, it's every hour,
Every
Ken.
hour.
It's every hour for 46 years they've been doing it. Yeah.
I think it's the top.
The top one. The lower of the top one.
Oh.
Right?
Is she out yet? Sure it's every hour? Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot. You think it's the same guy every hour?
No, it's 7 firefighters.
Oh, they're firefighters?
Yeah, they were firefighters.
Yeah.
So that's why I want everyone to have their pictures.
I'm not gonna have pictures of like the things that we all saw.
Right. I'm only gonna. Wait, but I didn't take photos of everything. That's where I want to be at. You know who's adding pictures of everything? Is my mom. So you'll get it.
That's why we're.
That's like in its peak it had almost 200 workers, so it was a big building, all owned by the cooperative, which was where the building is. It was a communist shake, so it was kind of leased by the state. That's why state could take it over in 50 like this.
It was a tailor cooperative?
Yeah,
Is that what it was?
Yeah, tailor and shoemaking. They just
Wow, it used to be right there. And well, no, they tore down, they destroyed the building. But that building.
Oh, it's nice. It'll go. Yeah, yeah. Right here.
Yeah. So it was somewhere here.
And there's the Brahma.
Yeah. Then also she said that Alan, like when it was small,
What is it?
Is this the flat roof you jumped on?
No, that's Fred's.
That's I think the other town.
But I remember the courtyard.
Oh.
I remember this, and I remember we're standing on top, looking down.
Wow.
It was this tall.
Which one?
I don't know.
I don't know, but she remembers the courtyard.
You remember the courtyard?
That's why I think it's this is where Camilo, ja myślę, to jest w tym domu.
Polish Jews who came out of the camps or came from the Soviet Union. The community who were Polish Jews, including your grandparents, was established here after the war. They had the opportunity to take over what was left after the German Jewish community killed in the Holocaust. So it was the synagogue built by the German community in 1875, and actually it's a big one. And for such small community, imagine that was the Jewish community here. When it was the biggest, it was just 200 people, and we were able to build this building like this. Which in Bochen it was what half of the town, and they had some wooden basically hut. And these people mostly moved away from the town in the 19th century because they achieved success. The children came to the university, so moved to Berlin, to Wrocław, to other German cities, and who stayed were killed in the Holocaust. So after the Ken, I think Ken raised a very important point, so I want to tell it to everyone that Wochin, I never been to Wochin, but what Ken said that it's much smaller, but the houses, everything is much more kind of taken care of and than here. And the main explanation of this fact was that there was a big problem in these former German territories, because until 1970s actually, nobody knew if the Germany will not come back to these territories. Also, the communists love to do this. They use the kind of propaganda, we are the only ones who defend you from the Germans because Germans can come back. And it made these territories of Western Poland very much neglected, both by the authorities and both by many people who did not know if they will not have to live. And in many interviews that I did from my book, like the old Poles say, I remember my parents until 1960s, 70s, even not renovating their houses, because they were saying, yeah, Germans will come back and will be kicked out from it. And that's the main explanation. And they are brought from far east of Soviet Union, thousands of kilometers, 2 or 3 weeks in a train, just brought to some town that you never was here, nobody gave you the map, you were sitting somewhere in Soviet Union, and they told you this is the place that you will suddenly live. They stayed here only by coincidence, because there was their family friend, Jakub Polczak, that they were here already for a few weeks, and they knew that the trains are coming twice or 3 times a week, so every time that the train came with the repatriates, they went to look if they know somebody.
The Ponchaks?
Yeah, the Ponchaks.
My mother said that their train was headed to
Legnica, yeah.
I never thought they were sent somewhere. I just felt like they got on a train and they could just get off when they wanted to.
They knew that they got on a train to Poland, but where exactly? The train was going to Legnica, other town, like 100 kilometers to the west, but they stopped on the way. And then Ponczak came, yes, inside and said,
No one stopped them from getting off.
No, they could get off wherever they want.
I got it with the sign in the background.
Short, buried. So actually, if you walk around all these fields, they are all basically cemetery. But many of them, when they were shot in barracks or died, they were buried in this forest. So the survivors after the war, they studied the monument of symbolic kind of a monument. And but of course it was made under the kind of a communist supervision, so it's very kind of basic. And it's like on this place, they arrested our brothers who died as martyrs from the hands of Hitler's oppressors, Hitler oppressors, no pain, in a concentration camp called Schula.
But what is more amazing, that Hebrew sign has kind of the same, but it has a lot of religious overtones. So what you could not do in Polish, actually you could do in Hebrew, because they, for example, they use the Hebrew liturgic thing. Is like what was this? Yeah, because basically it's the same, but it's used it's the religious Hebrew. It's the old religious Hebrew used, and Eretz Al Tafsiha Damam, like the land do not soak in, like do not take their blood, like it's a very religious type, and it's in.
My best friend did that, and I was totally back to not on the same day.
I think it's totally because my friends also like there were some like I feel like got starved by doing that, but most like Michael's like it's like
Walk in, it seems like. Wow, those rainbow buildings are pretty cool.
Oh, sure. They don't like
Hey, Wally.
10 o'clock here, so it's 4 o'clock there.
He doesn't. I don't know. Going to Jordan's like.
Bonjour tout le monde. Les amis, bonjour. Subtil comme le parfum, du coup avec un Z, mais on le prononce Bill comme Bill Bocuse. Étienne comme tout le monde. Tiens, c'est pour toi. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Un sous-marin atomique en cellulose. Alors, ça colle?
The reason why your family was sent south of Lower Silesia because the city was destroyed, you will see it inside, but it was renovated. And most of the part actually it was renovated the last 20 years through European Union money, which also shows how much Poland gained from entering EU. This building, you will see how much it is renovated, so EU money lasts 20 years. Because 2004, these were not there. And it's all new renovation going back to the original.
wow.
That's where we had dinner last night.
That's cool.
Oh, that's Greg.
That's like what my mom's best.
Yeah, so on the river there, the white
Gen X.
So here, like, I think that there are rented places, like, maybe someone lives here, but they rent all the things that you have to have. So before, around like 1900s, it belonged to the crown, to the early Czech crown. It was one of the first Slavic kind of nations. It's medieval times, but Slavic, I would say, tribes that got Christianity and with this kind of European civilization. Then around 909 and 909, it was conquered, taken over by the Polish crown, which just few years before it baptized and kind of came into the family of the European nations. And 10 years later, in year 1000, the bishopry, like the bishop's office, was established in the time in Bratyslavia or Wrocław, as the place was called, and it was a part of Polish medieval state until 14th century, when it came under the Czech crown, back to the Czech state. And when Czech state was joined, kind of added to the Habsburg Austrian Empire, it became the part of the Austrian Habsburg Empire, very Catholic city, up to the 18th century when it was conquered by the Prussian state. And then when Prussia united Germany, it became part of the Germany, and it was like this up till 1945. But hundreds of years before, already when it was a part of Poland, most of the inhabitants actually spoke German, because most of the Eastern European countries got the idea of how the city should look, how cities should operate from the Germany, and also they were inviting German settlers or German-speaking settlers to settle, because they were office of the castle of the prince, and Jews were usually living in the medieval times under the protection of the prince. So the first Jewish neighborhood was here. Then 10 years ago, in one of they did a renovation in the building of a history department, and in the basement they found the remnants of the synagogue, which is from the 14th century, but the community is much older, because years before they found in Wrocław the Matzeva, the Jewish gravestone. In Hebrew it's written that it's the grave of the cantor David, the one who was singing in the Poland could come. So, and the city was not ready for being really, because it's so destroyed, to be not ready for organized repopulation. So who came here? Mainly people who were escaping, like some criminals, some people who were anti-communist opposition, so they wanted to burn their papers and they wanted to start life anew. So Wrocław was the capital of so-called Polish Wild West after 45. And all these people came in the trains here. So naturally they settled the first neighborhood that they encountered. So that's why also crime rate here, the neglectance for the years to come was the biggest here actually.
Why the looks like
exactly. And until now, it's not so good neighborhood, but it's cheaper, and that's why also, for example, when a lot of Ukrainians came, because immigrants, they have less money, so we but that's the history of the story. When they brought university professors, educated people, then in 46, 47, they put them into the nice neighborhoods there to the east that were not destroyed. But the people wanted to enforce in a cooperative your father to join the Communist Party. He refused. And he came out from the cooperative, started his own private business, but it became for him already very dangerous. And they got an offer to join another cooperative, Zgoda, in Wrocław. And so that was another decision. But these are the different factors. So before they emigrated, Wrocław was safer and better. Good effort. Yes, schools were much better and stuff.
Wait, have we identified where the family home is here yet?
You have the address, but it's the same number, but Alan found it very easily. Jagiellończyka Street is 850 meters straight from us. Now, with this that would become part of the Soviet Union, the Soviets agreed that all this Polish library will move together with university professors to the new Polish city, which was Wrocław. So it shows how much all this is kind of transplanted.
You guys have to keep hugging.
Good luck. Hope you pass.
Any last words?
Bye-bye.
In the ground. So how to make the city Polish? So they decided we need to find some element that we could say that it's kind of Polish. So the older buildings which are from the time of Austrian Empire when it was Catholic, they are kosher, they're okay because they're Catholic, so we can say that they are kind of Polish. But we would destroy the newer. And the city that was most under the water was Wrocław. And the flood was going from the east. So city did everything to defend the old city, but they would blow up the river and the channels there to the east and put all the water to the poorest neighborhood, which is the Bermudian Triangle that can ask. So all the water goes there.
And action.
Okay, now do down.
And put your arms out over your look at this. All right, look at us. Keep the hand there, and action. That's good. Oh. Watch out for the bike.
Wow, there it is.
So there was always a store in that corner.
Wow. What a fun
So this was
walking.
grades 2 through 8?
This was also from the first grade to high school.
Through high school.
It was called Liceu.
Get out of the bike lane. Greg and Alec. Until high school? Until 13 when you left.
But high school was 11 years, not 12.
Oh.
That's why everybody started school when they were 7. They had to be 7. I was in 6 years. And I was 3 years ahead of Giselle, even though she's only 2 years younger.
This is where my mom went to school.
Second grade, first and second grade.
Now come on.
God, I hope I get it. Where's my iPhone?
Uh-huh. So my mother sent me to the bakery to buy whatever.
Oh.
And I came back and I had one more thing that I had money for. So she said to me, I didn't get back. He said, well, I took it. Did you pay for it? I don't know. Well, take it right back and take it back to them. If you pay for it, you don't get it. And I had to walk all the way back and give back.
That's right.
No, it's Mama shoplifted.
Let's walk. Let's walk.
And two.
Oh, don't do this in the street. Mom's gonna kill my
I feel like the neighbors don't always know
You think?
Maybe put down the filming.
I
just said that's what she was trying to cross the street for.
See how this
closed the
is
window.
one. See how this is one higher than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went to
And she
that
closed her
one.
blinds. Oh my gosh.
To go to his house?
That one. It's flat.
Yeah.
Oh, that is funny.
And there's a side window of this, and that's how we climbed over and jumped down to this.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, all the way up there?
Wait, can you repeat that, Mom?
And
I couldn't hear.
And I can
Okay, he said no.
I'm surprised.
Really? There's only 13.
Hi, there's 13 of us. Can we?
I didn't tell him it
used
was
to be
13.
40. Oh.
He might be looking out the window right now.
Well, it's where the plant is and those two.
See, we were over there, where that light is going on.
She's saying it's up there.
Where that light is, that window and the next one.
Like, all right, we got.
No, I don't think they were coming back, but I'm waiting for Eric and Ellie. They went to the bathroom. So at 10, 12 minutes.
Dzisiaj prowadził Anyone know where the beer place is? It's up there.
It's over there.
On the right. It's on the right, says Abel. Too small draft tabs. It's too small draft tabs.
All right, family, welcome to the family vacation video bonus footage. Just me and Cole here playing pool at the pool hall. I'm up 1-0. Bad shot from Cole. We love this place. Jake's up. Here we go. Hey, Jake. 6. Boopity boop set. Ah. Shucks. Jake wants the dance video. Random pool wall dance video. Jake's busting a move. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.